We can start.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of shiksha.com, I welcome everyone for today's webinar. Our topic of discussion today is admissions at Ashoka University, where we would get to know about the admission process, fee structure, scholarships being offered, and so on and so forth. To make us understand, we have two guests from Ashoka University. First is Praneeth Sergil, who is Assistant Director Outreach. She is a postgraduate in clothing and textile from SNDT University, Mumbai. She has an experience of close to 20 years in field of teaching and counseling, which has taken her across the country. In the last 5.5 years in the outreach team, she has looked after schools in South and Central West and currently takes care of Delhi NCR region. Our second guest is Ruthu Ruparanganath, who is a student at Ashoka and is currently pursuing advanced research major in computer science at Ashoka. Ruthu has interest in artificial intelligence and its applications in different domains. I welcome both of you. Now I would hand it over to Ruthu to take the discussions ahead from here.
Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. So, I believe we'll start with Ms. Praneeth.
Yeah. So I'm just quickly to try and cover these topics that we have today. I think I'll need about 5 to 7 minutes on a presentation. So I'm going to share my screen. I think I'm going to request Abhay, can you please allow me to share my screen? So once I've covered a short presentation, we already have a large number of questions and we'll be happy to take them at the end of the session and also questions along the way. So please keep posting your questions. We'll be happy to take your questions as we end the presentation. Okay, I think my screen is visible here. Okay. So just to give you a little background about Ashoka University, we are a liberal arts and science university. And for those of you who are not very familiar with what liberal arts and science is, and I would just like to clarify. So a liberal arts and science program, or we call it liberal education program at Ashoka, it gives you the freedom to choose what you want to study. So just like the word liberal suggests, it gives you freedom, and this freedom is across disciplines. So it doesn't matter whether it's in natural sciences, it's the social sciences or humanities, but you can choose across disciplines. You get a wonderful understanding of interdisciplinary education. So it has a very strong interdisciplinary approach, and that really helps you understand the language that subjects speak to each other. It's very interesting to find these connections and to understand these connections that subjects have with each other. Then, of course, it allows you to explore across the breadth and depth of subjects. So you get an opportunity to study multiple subjects in breadth. And there's this one particular subject that you're truly passionate about that you study in depth. And the most important thing, of course, is the fact that it focuses on critical thinking, problem solving, communication, and social awareness. And these really are some very important skills that students must have if you want to survive in the 21st century. The undergraduate program at Ashoka looks like this. So if you see the screen, you have a slide which tells you how the undergraduate program at Ashoka is. It covers a set of foundation courses, a set of major minor courses, and a set of co-curricular courses. It's a 3-year program broken up into 6 semesters. And at the end of these 6 semesters, you get a BA or a BSc honors degree in the subject that you have decided to major in. You have the optional 4th year. The 4th year, like I said, is optional, but it gives you a postgraduate diploma in advanced studies and research. So we'll discuss all this in detail as we go along. But moving on to the foundation courses. So you have a set of foundation courses, and all students have to do all these 9 foundation courses. Now, the first semester, you're required to do 4 foundation courses. And in the coming semesters, you pick and choose subjects from the foundation courses, or you take courses from the majors and the minors that we offer you. So whether it's the pure majors, the interdisciplinary majors, the minors, or the you pick any of these subjects, and until the first 1.5 year, you actually pick, choose, and explore subjects. At the end of 1.5 year is when you actually declare your major to the university. So you have a whole 1.5 years or 3 semesters before you actually declare your major to the university. So you sometimes join the university assuming you want to do a major in a certain subject, but as you go along and as you get exposed to more subjects, you realize that your interest and your passion actually lies somewhere else. And then you have the freedom to change your mind. We do ask you in the application which subject you want to major in, but that's just purely for survey purpose. Now, if you see the subjects in front of you, you have a whole list of pure majors and pure minors, interdisciplinary majors and minors. So you can take a pure major from the pure majors list, or a interdisciplinary major from the list that you see in front of you. And the minor can be from the pure majors list or the minors list. So what subject combinations you take is absolutely your choice, which is why it is a very, very liberal program, and it allows you the freedom to choose what you want to study. We do have a prerequisites and a few prerequisites. We can discuss those in the Q&A. But talking about the admissions, which is an important part, what we want you to know is it's beyond cutoffs. So there are no cutoffs for admissions. We don't have some, astronomical, crazy numbers like 98% or 100% cutoffs, like some universities have. But the basic admission process is very, very holistic, and we look for well-rounded individuals. We look for students who have good academics, who have good extracurricular co-curriculars, and who are engaging, who are passionate about anything they do. So the applications for Ashoka are already open. We've closed one round. We have the second round, which is going on, and it will close in a few days from now, which is on the 17th of January. And if you apply in the second round, you will have to take an Ashoka aptitude assessment, and I'll cover that in my next slide. But just for you to understand what all the holistic admissions process covers. So in the first stage, you need to put in your application, which is a free online application. We need your academic scores. We need your SATs, your ACTs. If you have them, that's optional. And of course, a personal essay and a letter of recommendation, along with some non-academic engagements. You have the Ashoka aptitude assessment, which is a aptitude assessment and not a test, and some on the spot, one on the spot essay, which you have to write. So that all that comprises of the stage 1. Once you've submitted the application and taken the Ashoka aptitude assessment, you have stage 2, wherein we shortlist students for interviews. So if you are shortlisted for the interview, you would require to talk to an interview panel, and once you clear the interview, we offer you admission so that you could get a firm offer from Ashoka, even if you don't have your class 12 marks. So even based on your predicted scores, you can get a firm offer of admission. Now, the admissions timeline looks like this. We've highlighted round 2 because that's where we are just now. 17th of January is when round 2 admissions close. So if you submit your application by midnight of 17 January, you will be considered in round 2. If you miss the midnight the deadline, you of course automatically fall into round 3, and you will have to submit your application by 6th of April. Now, once you've submitted your application on 17th of January, you have the assessment, which is on the 23rd of January, and then of course the notification, which is on 18th of March. The deadline for acceptance is 22nd April, and 10th June is when you have to make your payment for your first semester. we did have a question on diversity at the campus at Ashoka. And the one thing that we are really proud of is the very, very interesting socioeconomic and gender diversity that we have on campus. So socioeconomically, we are an organization which runs on the philosophy of collective philanthropy. And you have 47% of the students who are on financial aid at Ashoka. You have 159 students who are on full scholarship, and a large sum of money is given away as financial aid, and it's all need-based financial aid. As far as geographical diversity is concerned, in a class of 744 students that we had last year, the students were from 14 different countries, 107 Indian cities, and 425 different schools. And of course, a very gender diverse campus. The fees at Ashoka is 10.37 lakhs per annum, but what we would like to highlight here is that no student has ever been refused financial aid because or admissions because of any kind of financial constraint. And the admission process or the financial aid process is completely need-based. So the statistics that you see on the right side of your screen are pretty much very, very self-explanatory, which tell you about how students have been offered financial aid. We even have 6% of the students who are first generation college goers. So, and of course, the other important aspect is the placements, which interests most students. So placements is something that has been going on very well with the Ashoka students. And the statistics that you see in front of you are the latest statistics, where the median salary of an Ashoka student is 10.5 lakhs per annum, and the highest salary offered is 30 lakhs plus per annum. And the companies that students have been placed at are right here in front of you. So irrespective of the subject that you majored in, you can get placed by any of these companies that you see. And your subject really is not a determinant of which company is going to hire you. With that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I think I've taken 10 minutes to cover that. And I'm going to be happy to take questions. So I think, Ritu, you already have a large number of questions waiting there to be answered. I could also see some hands being raised as I was speaking. So go ahead.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. So there are a lot of questions. The first few are about admissions. And the first one is, when will the admission process for 2022 to 23 start?
Yeah. So as I said, the admissions process is already underway. We've already finished one round. The second round is finishing, closing on 17th of January. And it will go on till May. But what we always tell students is it's a good idea to make the most of the free time you have and start your application and complete it, because you have the facility of getting a firm offer of admission even if you don't have your class 12 board marks, because we offer admissions on the basis of your predicted scores.
So the second question is, what are the admission processes and documents required?
Yeah. So, Ritu, I'm going to cover that question, but I can see this message popping up where two participants have raised their hands. So I think after that, we can allow them to, ask. I think Surbi Bed, just give me a minute, Surbi, and I'll just finish answering this and then you can ask your question. So, the documents you require would be basically your admissions. The application is going to cover your academics, your extracurricular, co-curricular, 3 essays, which would mean your personal essays and a letter of recommendation. And of course, then the interview. But in the application, you need to put in your 10th, 11th standard marks, your predicted scores for the 12th standard, any sort of extracurricular, co-curricular activities that you've, done in the last 2-3 years, or maybe even longer than that. And but anything that you've engaged in very, very passionately. And of course, the other important thing, and it's a large component, is the essays. So there are 3 prompts in the application. We want you to engage in those prompts and answer those, make sure you answer that and, cover that, the question that we've asked in the prompt. And once you've submitted your application, and of course, the LOR or the letter of recommendation is important, but it's not mandatory. So there are students who don't manage to find a recommender, which is absolutely fine. But if you do find a recommender, it's a good idea to ask the recommender to recommend you to the university. So that's all that you need in the application. It's a little long, lengthy process, but we always encourage students to take time and give it your best shot, because it does help you qualify into the interview round. Okay, so Rutu, I was just thinking we should ask the person who's raised their hand to actually, I don't know if they can, put on the mic and ask the question, but we'd be happy to take a question there.
Yeah, definitely.
The questions in the Q&A section. So these questions, they're available in the Q&A section.
All right. Okay, great. So the questions that the audience wants to ask us are in the Q&A box. So that's fine. We are taking questions from there. And you can go on to the next question, Rutu, whatever the next question is.
Sure. The next question is, how does a student know if his or her profile is good enough to apply to Ashoka? And how should they self-evaluate their profiles?
Okay. That's very interesting because, a lot of students want to start shortlisting universities based on whether they think their profile fits in or not. And that's absolutely valid, because I know that there are so many opportunities and so many options you have, but you just want to do, whatever you think you best fit into. But just to give you a sense, you have to look at a well-balanced application. So because the university looks at students who come from, who have a nice, well-rounded application, just try and see that you have a good balance. So say you have consistent academics, you have good extracurricular, co-curricular, or you write your essays, which are very, very, your essays really convey what kind of a person you are. And as long as you manage to do that and you put in good effort into the interview, I think you would have a very good chance of qualifying. So an Ashoka student is really a student who is really, really curious minded, who loves to engage in activities. And it can be when we talk about extracurricular, co-curricular activities, it's not only activities which give you certificates, because a lot of times students ask us about, the question is that, we don't have a certificate and what do we do? But it just doesn't matter, because it's not only certificates we're looking at your overall profile, which means, you could have participated in an activity or pursued something very, very deeply, but don't have a certificate to show for that. It's absolutely fine. As long as you can talk about it, as long as you can, you have your experience to talk about whatever activity you've done, we are fine with that. Because, for example, if you've been an avid reader, you obviously won't have a certificate to show that you've read. But when you speak to us about whatever it is, that genre that you've been, fond of reading, it will definitely show us that you have done it with a lot of passion. So passion is what we're looking at. So if you are that kind of a person, you definitely qualify to apply to Ashoka.
Yeah, and if I could just add one thing, the people I've met at Ashoka are from so many different backgrounds and perspectives. And so I would say, like Praneeth said, if you're passionate about pursuing something, if the courses or the research here interest you, then just apply. And it's not just about academics either. I mean, extracurriculars are a huge strength. There's people at Ashoka who are frisbee or shooting champions. I've been able to take some classes and learn from them. In my case, I really enjoy playing Veena, and even after I joined Ashoka, the university was so supporting. They got a Veena for the university so that more students could learn and play. And because of that, there's a lot of Veena players who are learning there now, who could practice at any time because the campus is lively and safe all the time. So yeah, I would say if you have extracurricular or other strengths, highlight them in your application and just apply.
Absolutely.
Would you like to choose the next question, or should
I can see some questions in the chat box, so I'll be happy to take them. It says I'm from the Humanities stream, and I was wondering if I could do a BBA because I haven't taken maths during my school. So, what you need to understand is at Ashoka, we offer a BA or a BSc honors degree. We do not offer you BBA degrees. So it doesn't matter if you haven't taken maths. There are definitely other subjects that you can explore at Ashoka. And but what you must remember is you will not get a BBA degree from us. But trust me, I have seen this in the past. Students who assume that there's a certain subject that they love, but when they actually get exposed to the other subjects that we offer, the foundation courses really help them understand where their interests actually lie and where they should really be focusing. And yeah, so even if you haven't taken maths, that's absolutely fine. There are so many other subjects which you can explore at Ashoka. And I think I did share that slide with you, and there's enough information available on the website. You can definitely explore many other subjects. Okay, what is the percentage? Okay, so the one thing I think this question has popped up multiple times about the cutoffs and average scores and SAT scores and cutoff percentage. So I'd like to clarify, there are no cutoffs at Ashoka. We have no percentage cutoffs or no IB score cutoffs. We have no SAT cutoffs. SAT is an absolutely optional score that you have to put. It's not mandatory. If you haven't taken the SAT, just don't worry. You can just apply. As far as your class 12 scores are concerned, there's no problem at all. You don't have to worry. We are looking at academic consistency. So that consistency can be within the bracket that you have, but as long as it's consistent, it's absolutely fine. So we are looking at students who are, who are academically consistent, who have good extracurriculars, co-curriculars, but absolutely no, cutoffs. So yeah, there's no problem with that. And there's another question on public policy. So do you have a BA in public policy? We do not have public policy as a major at Ashoka, but we do have other subjects like political science and history and other subjects which students can major in. But public policy is not a major. We have history and international relation, and hopefully international relations will be a major sometime in the future, but not just now. So yeah, okay. So yeah, Ritu, any questions at your end? You can.
Yeah, there's one. If I could just add one thing about public policy, even though there isn't a major currently at Ashoka for public policy, I think some of the courses there do prepare you for public policy work in the future. There's some students I know at Ashoka who have gone on to do public policy, and I'm also interning with the government of Punjab now, doing some research work with them. So because of how interdisciplinary Ashoka is, a lot of the things that they teach you or that you learn there prepare you for things you don't expect to.
Yes, absolutely. And I think what one really needs to understand is do not narrow your options right now. Keep your options open. Try and explore as many subjects as you can at your undergraduate level, because when you have to do your post-graduation, you have so many specializations and super specializations that you can do, that you can actually go and explore. And in terms of policy making, it may not be taught as a subject like Rutu said, but there are definitely enough opportunities you get when you're interning and you're working with the organizations that Ashoka is connected to, that you do get enough exposure with these kind of subjects. Yeah. Okay. And the other thing I want to mention here is I see a lot of questions on economics, maths. So a parent wants to know that my son has economics, commerce, psychology. psychology, accountancy, and English. Can he study economics as a major? So, ma'am, sir, I just want to tell you that if your child wants to study economics at an international level, he or she definitely needs to have maths, especially at Ashoka, because the economics program at Ashoka is very, very maths intensive. And I think that the reason it's like that is because it is absolutely brought up to international standards. So if you yeah, but that's not the only thing. He can study psychology, he can study English, and so many other options that we have. So maths is a prerequisite at Ashoka, whether you're studying it as a major or as a minor. You have to have maths if you want to study economics. Yeah.
There's also a lot of questions about the rounds at Ashoka. One is, do students stand a higher chance of admission in round one? And do chances deteriorate every round? If not, is there a round-wise quota of seats?
Yeah. So this is the other myth that, so-and-so round is better or luckier or easier, but there is no such thing because all rounds are equal. We encourage students to apply early because it just makes things simpler for everybody, for you, for us, for the admission, for the parents. And, it's much simpler because you have an offer of admission from us right in the beginning before you even take your 12th board. And look what happened to the boards this year. It's got split into two. So, and we don't even know how, when, and whether the second part will happen or no, the way things are, because things have become so unpredictable. So that's the only reason we encourage students to apply early. But otherwise, there is no quota per se. There is no, number that we're looking at, but we definitely tell students that apply at your convenience. It's just that it makes things a lot easier for everybody if you apply a little early. So yeah. Okay, so a student says he wants to pursue BTech in computer science. Which country will be better? Okay, I don't think this is an appropriate question for me to answer because, yeah, I mean, whether you want to study in the UK or the US, I don't think I would, I would be qualified to answer that question. There are questions around scholarships, I think, Rutu. So the financial aid or scholarship. So what I want to tell you, students and parents, is that Ashoka is very, very generous when it comes to giving financial aid to students. So the financial aid process at Ashoka is very, very generous. We have students who are on 100% financial aid, and all this is need-based financial aid. So it all depends on the kind of need that your family has. We look at very basic information from you, and all this information is required after we make you the offer of admission. So we do not ask you all this right upfront, but once we make you an offer of admission is when we ask you to fill in the form for financial aid. If you want financial aid, please feel free to ask, because it doesn't reduce your chances of getting in, because you already have an offer from Ashoka. And once you've filled in those documents, and those documents are really all about your assets, your liabilities, the family's income. We look at your the tax that you've paid, and based on that we make you an offer. And trust me when I say this to you, it's a very generous offer. Nobody has ever has been refused admission because of financial constraints, and people just always appreciate the kind of financial aid and financial support we give students. There are students who are on 100% financial aid, and students whose parents have never been, their first time college goers. So we encourage students from all diverse backgrounds, because the whole financial aid policy is based on need-based financial aid. Yeah.
There's also one or two questions that ask what types of scholarships are available for students and how a student demonstrates need. I think you answered the second one in your current answer.
Yeah. So what qualifies you is your need, obviously. And the only scholarship that we offer is need-based financial aid. So we do not have any academic scholarships as of now. So it's just need-based scholarships. Okay, so there is a student whose subjects are psychology and biology, and will I be able to get my degree will I get a BSc degree? So if you take biology as a major, you will definitely get a BSc in biology, and your minor will be psychology. So you have to have one major subject that you choose. So the major will be of your choice. And of course, the minor also of your choice, but the subject that you've majored in will determine whether you will get a BSc or a BA degree. A student who is in grade 11 now needs to prepare for entrance tests. So I can talk about Ashoka's aptitude assessment, and we do not call it a test because it's not a test of your knowledge. It is just an aptitude assessment. We are trying to understand whether you are the right fit for the university and whether the university is the right fit for you. So it's absolutely based on your thinking skills and your critical thinking skills, or it's like it's called the TSA. It's like a thinking skills assessment. And if you want to check out some sample papers, the sample papers are online. And also, if you need more information, you must go to the Cambridge TSA website. The Cambridge TSA website has many sample papers, and the Ashoka aptitude assessment is based on the Cambridge TSA also. And of course, there's another one which asks for the minimum score for the Ashoka aptitude test. But again, it's not a test, it's an aptitude assessment, and there is no minimum cutoff for that. Okay, and I can see one which asks for documents to be mailed. What is the deadline? And okay. So Vihan, I think you need to go back to what I said. You do not mail anything to us. You must absolutely upload everything on your application form and submit your application, and you will get the details on the website. You have to just submit the application, and it has a list of documents which you upload on the application.
There's also a question about Ashoka's class. What is the class profile at Ashoka?
Yeah, so what happens is generally the class is, we try and maintain a very healthy balance with the gender ratio at Ashoka. And I think, Rutu, I would be happy if you take that question, since you are a part of a class and you will be able to give us a better perspective.
Sure, thank you. So in terms of classes at Ashoka, there's students from a lot of different countries and backgrounds, majors and minors. There's courses with more than 50 students, like foundation and introduction courses sometimes. Like when I took Introduction to Computer Science, we were able to choose our own teams to solve computer science puzzles for a challenge in the course. And we formed a team of 3 people, and because we had so many different backgrounds in computer science and different kinds of thinking processes, we were able to solve the puzzles using our combined knowledge within time limits and win first place. And we didn't even know each other before we formed this team in the class. But because of Ashoka's environment, people, even when they're all different, they're so friendly and they're very interested in discovering new things about each other. And even in courses that aren't in your major, like I saw some questions about combining different interests that people have when they're from science backgrounds or other backgrounds. So the unique thing about Ashoka is that you can take a lot of courses that aren't in your major. Like computer science is my major, but I took many interdisciplinary courses like archaeology. The final exam in that was a paper that we had to write, and I wrote mine on machine learning and its applications of predicting where new archaeological sites are. And I was able to get a good grade. So the professors at Ashoka really give you a lot of flexibility and encouragement in terms of connecting whatever your interests are with whichever course you're taking. There's also no feeling of sort of feeling like a fish out of water no matter what course you take. So there was like a drawing course I took where I could use computer animation with my drawings to create short films. And even though I wasn't an art major, all the other students were so encouraging and supportive. So the classes at Ashoka are really just a fun environment where you can discover new things about different people and learn together.
Okay. Thanks, Ritu. And I think I'm going to post this question to you. What is the best combination of a minor with a major in economics? I mean, what is the best minor that you can choose? And what is the future? Okay, I think once you cover that, I'll take the rest of the question. But they're basically trying to understand what the future of a BA in psychology is in terms of placements.
Sure. So in terms of combining a minor or major with economics, there are some of my batchmates that have taken computer science and economics. They're as interdisciplinary majors, or there are people also who have taken economics with entrepreneurship, economics and mathematics. So within all of the minors at Ashoka, I think you're free to mix and match minors and majors as you like. And I think Ms. Parneet can just correct me.
So I think, yeah, you're right, Ritu. And I think what is important for you to understand is do not go to a university that gives you the freedom to take what you have to with a preconceived notion. This is a place which is encouraging you to take unique combinations. Why do you want to go with a preconceived combination in your head? Explore, understand the requirement, because things will change by the time you graduate. Things will change. You could have this, idea of studying, maybe like you said, Amit, that psychology with economics. But maybe by the time you finish, or you're halfway through, or you explore subjects, you realize that at that point in time, the requirement or the demand is, or your interest is in a different direction. You will have the opportunity to change the direction. What I would advise you to do is look at the subjects we offer, see if the subjects that you're interested in are there, and open your mind and have the attitude to explore. That's when you will be able to make the perfect combination. There is no perfect combination. The combination that you want to do and that you love is the perfect combination. Okay, so be open-minded. And I think most people of my generation, with all of us, the biggest crib was the fact that we were just given set combinations and we never got the opportunity to explore. So I think that is a gift that you're getting. You're getting the gift of being able to explore and to choose what you want to do. So use it to the maximum. Don't limit yourself. The sky is the limit as far as we are concerned. Yeah. Okay, again, minimum scores for Ashoka aptitude assessment, none. There are no cutoffs, no minimum scores. Is the Ashoka aptitude test and interview online or offline? It is all online. Earlier, we used to have interviews offline. We had in-person interviews where the admissions team traveled across the country and interviewed students. But, because of the current scenario, the last 2 years all interviews have been online. And for students who are currently in class 11, can you take the Ashoka aptitude assessment? You can only take the Ashoka aptitude assessment once you've submitted the application, but you can look at the sample papers and see where they go. How can I pursue both psychology and sociology? Of course, you can. You can take any one of these subjects as your major. Psychology can be your major and sociology can be your minor, or the other way around. You can study sociology and anthropology as a major and psychology as a minor. Like I said before, the sky is the limit. Okay. I think there was one question. I think I'd just like to cover, take 2 minutes and talk about the interviews. I know a lot of students are concerned about the interviews. So what you must understand is if you are shortlisted for the interview basically is a conversation between the panelists and you to try to understand you better. We are just trying to understand if that person who's filled in that application, we want to get to know that person better because that application seemed interesting to us. So it's a conversation about you. You have to be well versed with your application and recollect what you have put in in terms of your opinions, in terms of your views, in terms of your extracurriculars and co-curriculars, and the discussion will be based on that. And here I'm going to ask Ritu to tell us how her interview experience was at Ashoka.
Sure, yeah, I'd love to. For me, it was actually, I would use the exact same word. It was a lot like a conversation. It actually never felt like an interview. I remember I felt so comfortable that it really felt more like I was leading the questions. And it was just more talking about what I liked, what I was pursuing, what my passions were, and the ideas behind why I wrote certain answers in the on-the-spot essay. So it was really, yeah, just a sort of like an informal chat to get to know each other.
Yeah. And I can say it with a lot of conviction because I have done some interviews, and we're just curious to know whether, the person whose application we are reading and the person sitting in front of us is the same person, and how do we get to know this person better. And I see another question on, again, combination, economics, international relations. Of course, any combination, the choice is completely yours. No problem there at all. So there's another one which says, do we have the option of choosing only one major subject, or can we do a double major, triple A? So that's a very interesting point you're making, Anisha. Reason being that, when you finish 3 years, you get one major and one minor. And the one minor, of course, is optional, but the only thing that's mandatory is one major. Invariably, because as you go along and as you explore, you tend to accumulate X number of credits and the subject qualifies for a minor. So you have one major and one minor. That's after 3 years. In the 4th year, when you do the Ashoka Scholars Program or the postgraduate diploma in advanced studies and research, you get to do a double major. So say, for example, you had a major in economics and a minor in history, and your history can be converted to a major and you get a double major. So that's the option that you have. You can have a double major at the end of 4 years. A triple major, of course, seems very, very unlikely because of the number of subjects you will be studying, the number of courses that you will be taking. And I'm going to ask Ritu, if you can tell us about your choice of major and how you made that choice. And was it computer science that you always wanted to do, or did you change your mind once you explored it?
That's a really nice question. Thank you. I knew that I liked computer science when I entered Ashoka, but I didn't know that I liked research specifically, and that only happened because in my first year, I was able to sort of just drop by a professor's office after I had taken the Introduction to Computer Science course. And the professor and I were just sort of having informal discussions about what I was interested in computer science, and I was just asking about pursuing different ideas, and then I was able to join a research project. So I would say in terms of like majors and minors and decisions like that, it's really flexible. I didn't even have to declare a major until I think the beginning of the second year. And for many people, when they want to just sort of dip their toes into a subject, but they don't want to turn it into a full minor or full major, they can even take concentrations or just take 1 or 2 courses in those subjects. So yeah, and the professors at Ashoka are really encouraging in terms of helping you understand more about a subject. So you can always have a lot of conversations with them, with your seniors, and understand what you like when you come to Ashoka.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Ritu, but what I've heard from most students who I've spoken to, they always say that 1 or 2 classes in a foundation program or in the subject that, where they want to explore and they've already made up their mind. So this is what most students have told me, that it's in the first or the second class that they've taken in the foundation course that they know that this is the subject I want to major in, because, it just gives you a sense. The way, academics is taught at Ashoka, the way, the whole teaching style and the teaching pedagogy is such that students actually get a real sense of what they want to study in their undergrad.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. I mean, the amazing thing about the foundation courses is that they cover almost all of the subjects, or at least parts of different subjects. So I took like environment science, psychology, anthropology, sociology, and just taking the introduction to computer science course just cemented the fact that I really loved computer science. Before, I think I just liked it. So yeah, that's true. Taking the foundation courses is just a huge new introduction to a course, and you definitely fall in love with what you fall in love with then.
Yeah. So that is what I've heard most students say. And there are some queries around placements and packages that students get. So I know this is a big concern. I mean, invariably, everyone's worried about what kind of salaries you get and what kind of, but I think all in all, I would like to say is that an Ashoka graduate is very, very valuable in the market. And this is what, this is the kind of feedback we've been getting. The industries around who come and hire Ashoka students pitch you very, very high. So a simple number that I'll give you is an Ashoka student getting hired at 30 lakhs plus per annum by Google just clearly tells you where you are pitched. And I think the Career Development Office puts in a lot of hard work where through the 3 years that you are, 3 or 4 years that you're at Ashoka, they're helping you build your profile and make it stronger. Apart from the academics, apart from the stuff you're studying in college, they're also helping you, make a strong profile in terms of your interviews, in terms of your LinkedIn profiles, in terms of your, preparing for group discussions and things like that. And I think, Ritu can elaborate on that. What is the kind of work that the CDO has done with you in the last 3 years to make your profile stronger, Ritu?
Yeah, for sure. The CDO really does a lot, especially, I can say that there's a lot of internships and offers that keep coming at Ashoka. There's like Microsoft, IBM, Google, these are some of the big names. But it really depends on your interest as well. Whatever you're interested in, there's almost always an opportunity for it at Ashoka to intern or to get a job. In my second year, I did some research with a senior at Ashoka, and through the CDO, he had an internship with Google, and then he also got a job at Google. And he also offered a lot of references for Ashoka students. To Google, the CDO also ran a round where Microsoft offered a lot of opportunities for Ashoka students. And one of my seniors in computer science, she also got a job in Microsoft Research. But there's also, if you're interested in internship or social impact related jobs, I'm interning with a United Nations awarded hydroponics company who approached students like me through Ashoka, and the government of Punjab public policy internship I mentioned was also through Ashoka. So it's CDO is a really amazing team, and even if you need some help with like applications, preparing your resumes, they offer a lot of support with that. So yeah. It's pretty good here.
So there are, from what I know, there are close to 60 plus workshops that happen through your 3 to 4 years, which help you build your profile. Yeah. And there is a concern about a parent whose son wants to take the UPSC or the Indian Administrative Services exam. And while pursuing the UG, and they want to know how Ashoka will facilitate this. So from what I know, I think it's your academics at Ashoka which facilitate this. But if you're talking about, coaching classes, we don't have any of those running on campus. And as far as the classes are concerned, classes are online. That was another query. We do have classes going on online, and that's purely because those are the government guidelines, and we're following those very, very strictly. We did start bringing students onto campus in the last year after October, but unfortunately, because of the new surge in cases, we've had to send them back, and let's hope things will be back to normal soon.
There's also a question, what is the condition of transgender or genderqueer students and specifications for their application regarding gender on official ID for Ashoka?
Yeah, so about we are very, very accepting of students of all genders. You have to just make a regular application like any other student. You're treated equally. If there's on campus, of course, there's a queer society. There's a lot of help that happens on campus, a lot of awareness on campus, I should say, in terms of, the third gender. But what is important is when you're applying, you will get absolute equal treatment. If your ID has, irrespective of what your ID has on it, please feel free to upload it. In case you have any further queries, write to ug@ashoka.edu.in, and we'll handhold you through the whole application. So we welcome people of all genders with open arms. Do you offer semesters abroad? So yes, we do offer semesters abroad to students, and students from, you can take either a whole semester abroad or a summer abroad program, and that's absolutely optional. It's your choice, and which university you want to go to, and we collaborate with 18 universities across the world, and you can choose any one of those. And yeah, I think we've managed to answer most of the questions. Can you see some which we missed out, Ritu?
There just seems to be one on applying from international students. Can I take admission to Ashoka? I'm from Bangladesh.
Yes, yeah, we have some wonderful, we have a wonderfully large community from all across the world. So like I said, 14 countries, and all these students are really, happy being at Ashoka. Some of them, of course, were on campus. Some of them haven't yet managed to come to campus, but it's and all students, whether they're international or non-resident Indian students, you all get equal opportunity in terms of, whether it's the fees, whether it's financial aid, whether it's, there are no reserved seats of any sorts. So yeah, again, most welcome, everybody.
Thank you very much, Praneeth. Thank you very much, Ritu, for covering most of the questions, that queries that a student has, and also picking up the questions from chat and answering as many questions as possible. It was great to have two of you here. And for audience, there's a feedback poll, if they could answer on that, like how they felt about the entire webinar. Thank you so very much, both of you.
Yeah, thank you so much, the team at Shiksha, for having us here. It was an absolute pleasure. And we do hope we managed to, clarify as many doubts. But if not, please apply to ug@ashoka.edu.in. We have a very strong backend team who's always there to help you. So thank you.
Even if some questions are there, students can send us those questions. We'll share it with the Ashoka team. They can answer those questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much.